Alhamdulillah, welcome to the first episode of the Qaswa podcast. As usual, podcast with a Q. I am Azizi, and together with me today is...
I am Safiyyah.
And we are the founders of Qaswa House. So what we plan to do with the Qaswa podcast weekly is that we want to cover what we studied with our students on our Saturday madrasa. What we're going to do is with the younger students. So this will be the Qaswa Prime, from pre-primary all the way to
year six.
year 6 years. So I think before that, just break the ice and get us a bit more relaxed after a hectic day, first day of the year at Qaswa House. How was the holidays?
Oh, the holidays. We had a wonderful time, didn't we, as a family? I think the highlight was the camping we had, 6 nights, just us down in Donnelly.
Donnelly River. That was beautiful, and it was also a unique experience. It was the first time we camped without a tent.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't know that there was a hut there. There was a beautiful hut built in the 1930s. We slept in there. Then we also built that one-man debris hut.
Yeah, and I thought the water was really nice. We did a lot of swimming.
Yeah.
And for the first time, we fished for marron, which was a really nice experience.
Exactly. And I think this is a very important part of building a cohesive family, that you have some time where you just go as a family, your nucleus family unit. Often people go camping or outings with friends. Well, those outings are important. It's also very important that we make time to just be as a family. So what we see is that our daughters don't have any other people to play with, but play with themselves. So the eldest, who is 13, she's there actually managing the video, managing the feed. She has to entertain her younger sisters.
And they get closer together, and I think these are memories that they bring along with them when they grow up. So we had our 3 camping trips with 3 different lots of people, and it was really nice for the holidays.
Yep. Alhamdulillah, that was great. So I think that was was enough recharge, rejuvenating for us to start another year. And so now we are in term 1 of 2023. Just an outline of how we do our syllabus at Qaswa is that every year term 1 will be about purity and prayers, and term 2 will be fasting and charity, zakat. Term 3 will be Hajj and stories of the prophets, and term 4 will be the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, our Prophet. And one thing I think what we do as well at Qaswa is that generally everybody will study the same syllabus but at different depth as they grow older. All right, so let's just look at an overview of the syllabus this week. I think the aim was to introduce who our God is. I think that's the primary aim, isn't it?
Yeah, so we really wanted to... most children know that in Islam our God is Allah, but we want to supply them with knowledge surrounding who is Allah and the concept of the God. So for the younger children, the concept of a God, if from young they have been taught that we have a God and our God is Allah, it sort of like comes quite naturally for them, and they know that Allah is the creator. But for a few children where they have not been introduced to the concept of God, we would have to give them a bit more so that they would understand. So for example, like today, we really went through our God is Allah, and we learnt how to spell. For the pre-primaries and the year 1s, year 2s, how to spell Allah in Arabic, and then how to spell Allah in English. This is because we want them to actually see, when they see decorations at home, when they see writings in the Quran, in the Muqaddam, they can pick out
that Allah is Allah. It's not just some random shapes that they're seeing around. They see that is the name of our God. And I think one thing that we emphasize here at Qaswa when introducing Allah to younger children is the concept of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, because that is what Allah introduced. This is how Allah introduces Himself the most. Well, He has 99 names. There are other names like the al-adl, the just. He is also al-jabbar, the compeller, al-qahar, and so on. There'll be punishments, those elements. But with younger children, they are not spiritually responsible for the punishments.
Yes.
So I think it's important that we introduce Allah to our children with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, that He is Ar-Rahman and He is Ar-Rahim. And we introduce Allah as the God that we have to love, that we worship out of love. I'm not sure if you had the time, because I understand with younger children it's a bit harder, but on this in the syllabus we actually it's part of Allah is our ilah, because we were introducing the shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, that there is no ilah but Allah. And the word ilah comes from alaha ya'lu, the one that is worshipped, but can also come from walaha, the one that is loved. So He is the one that is worshipped out of love. And why should we love God? Yeah.
So when we did, we always introduce and start everything with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And how we do it for younger children, we always say before we do anything, we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And it means that in the name of Allah, the most loving and the most caring. So we use very simple and easy words for children to understand. And I think that really helps them. And today it was really quite nice in class. So after we introduced the name of Allah, and we always do a lot of songs in our young children because they enjoy singing.
Exactly.
And we love singing together. And instead of supplying them with, Western nursery rhymes, at Qaswa we always teach children Islamic nursery rhymes. So the melody might be
the same,
but the words are different. So today we taught them how to spell the word Allah. So it went like, there is one God and no other God, and Allah is the one God. Alif lam lam ha, alif lam lam ha, alif lam lam ha, and Allah is the one God.
Right.
So if you know the rhythm, it's actually after Bingo the dog song.
Yep.
But we changed the words to suit it.
Yes.
And that makes it really, really easy for
Yes.
children to understand.
Exactly. I think because they're already familiar with the melody, it becomes easy for them to just remember, and they will hum it at home while they're playing on their own. And I think that's really important. Did you explain why actually do we need to love God, and how?
What we did today was we were talking about Allah the Creator, and Allah giving us a lot of things. So we talked about that Allah made the world and everything in it. So like the animals and the trees and the plants and the food and the water, and also everything beyond planet Earth, like the different planets and the stars and the moon. And then, but how we said, so Allah made all of that. But then when we want to introduce Allah as the most loving and the most caring, we actually gave the example of a mother. So we asked the children, so like, okay, like you all have your mums, and do you love your mum? And they say yes. And they say, do you think your mum loves you? And they say yes. I say, what does your mum do for you? So they will get examples from the children. So they would say like, oh, my mum cooks me yummy food. My mum helps me with my clothes. My mum makes my lunch boxes. My mom kisses me good night. My mom reads to me. My mom teaches me. My mom will help me when I fall down. So the children came up with all these wonderful examples. And they said like, my mom does so much things for me. And then I said like, and that is why you love your mother, don't you? You love your mom because your mom is very, very kind to you. And then I said like, do you know who's more kind than your mom? And they say like, Allah is more kind than your mom. Why? Because Allah gave you your mom.
Yep.
Because Allah gave us all our family. So then the children were like, oh yeah. Then I said, then your mom cooks the food, isn't it? Let's say if your mom cooks rice, where did that rice come from? Then they said from the shops, yes. But where did the rice from the shop comes from? Then they say the farmer. Then where did the farmer get the seeds to plant the rice? Then they said, so everything grows with the will of Allah, because if the farmer planted the seed without water and sunlight from Allah, the plant will not be able to grow. Without the soil, the plant is not able to grow. So Allah is the source of all goodness and the source of all love. And Allah loves you so much that Allah gives you food and drink and family.
Yeah, with the bigger kids, we actually explain the concept of His name, Ar-Rahman. So with the bigger kids, we mentioned that the importance of Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim before you start everything. You're reminded that Allah is Ar-Rahman and Allah is Ar-Rahim. But what is the meaning of Ar-Rahman? Well, with the younger kids, maybe you do it just that most kind, most loving. But with the bigger kids, we wanted a bit of depth. So we're talking about year 2, year 3, year 4, and above, year 3, 4, 5, and 6. A bit more depth. So we dissected the word Rahman, and we say the word Rahman shares the same root word with the womb of the mother in Arabic, which is Rahim, Raha and Mim. And we asked the students back, like, why do you think Allah mentioned that He carved out, or He made the word womb, Rahim, from His name, Rahman? And the students were like, why? It's a bit, it's
abstract, isn't it?
A bit abstract. But when we explain to them, they can really see it, because they say, now you see when a baby is in the womb of the mother, everything is supplied from the mother. This is the only time that the child will experience unconditional love.
That's true.
True unconditional love from the mother, because you don't have to eat, you don't have to drink, you nourish directly, you don't have to breathe. And you don't repay your mother. You don't even say thank you. All you do is sometimes you kick the mother. And this is the only time you kick the mother and the mother gets excited. The entire village gets to know about it. You give the mum back pain. You give the mum sleepless nights. Yet the mother continue to provide and continue to love.
I think that's a metaphor that I think the children are able to actually relate to.
Yes. So
isn't it?
Yeah. So when we thought this to the children, they were like, oh. So now, if you can imagine the love that a mother has for the baby in the womb, and you take this to the extreme, because this is Rahman, not just Rahim. This is extreme. Now Allah loves you way more than that He provides for you everything. Even your mother is created by Allah. That everything that you know that is good comes from Allah. He sent down rain so that vegetation, trees and fruits can grow, and we can eat those things. Everything that we have came from Allah. Even though we disobey Him. The example that was given in class is, imagine if you didn't wake up for Fajr. And I mean, granted, a lot of the younger students don't wake up for Fajr, especially in summer.
Yeah, it's very
too early for them. So imagine if you don't wake up for Fajr and Allah said, all right, no oxygen for 2 minutes because you missed 2 rak'ah. What's going to happen? No. No matter what you do, He loves you. He continues to provide for you because He is Ar-Rahman. He is Ar-Rahim.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we do at Qaswa, that you see the different depths that we, as the children move along. So even if they're learning the same syllabus in pre-primary, they're actually getting a whole different depth kind of content as they're aging up. And then that just moves beautifully for them, that they understand their religion deeper and deeper as they move along.
Yeah, and then with the bigger kids, we actually ended with discussion about, if we love our mother, how do we show love to our mother? So you do things that your mother loves. You try and make your mother happy. Your mother knows that she loves a clean house, so you clean your room. You make sure that the laundry is done, and so on and so forth. Now, how do we then express and show our love to Allah? We allow the students to come in and give their answers. But of course, as teachers, and we need to facilitate the discussion. It's not just free discussion. We know what the answer we want, but we want it to come from the students. So the answers that we wanted should fall into one of 3 categories. One is to make ourselves good. So in order to show that we love Allah, that we have to make ourselves good. And then number 2, the second category are things that are helping others to be good. And this is an important distinction. You can only make yourself good. You can't make others good.
True.
You can help others be good. So you make yourself good. You help others be good. And the third is to make the environment clean and beautiful. Now, why do we want the answers to fall within these 3 categories? Because I think we've summarized this from the beginning of Qaswa, that These are the three broad responsibilities of a Muslim.
Yeah. So we definitely teach that for the children, isn't it, from the beginning? That we call it the three jobs, three duties of a Muslim, and we teach the children this. It's almost like it is our school motto, our
Yes.
madrasa motto, that we have got three. We make ourselves good, and you help others be good, because you can never force
Yes.
anyone to be good.
But you have to help them
But you
and
have to
encourage them.
Help
yes.
and encourage and model,
Yes.
so that people will follow your good example. And the environment is something that we've got only one planet Earth.
Yep. But someone did ask, like, why do we show our love to Allah by making ourselves good, helping others be good and be kind, be good, or make the environment clean and beautiful? What is the relationship between that? And the metaphor that we gave, the example that we gave, is that imagine that if you have a beautiful piece of artwork, you just did it beautifully, and you gave it to your sister. And what would you like your sister to do with it? Of course, you would like the sister to keep it nicely, display it nicely, keep it nice, clean, beautiful. So Allah created us, Allah created everybody else, Allah created the environment.
Yeah.
So He wants us to be good, and He has sent us guidance on how to be good. He also wants then us as human beings, as Khalifa, as we've got a sense of responsibility
Yeah.
to help others be good, because they are also creations of Allah. And we help others be good because we love them. Because we love Allah, we love things that Allah created. And finally, make the environment clean and beautiful. Again, extension of whatever that Allah created. We have to look after it and make sure that it's always nice and beautiful. Yeah. So I think you didn't get to cover, because of course different age group. With the bigger kids, we always start our year with the Hadith Jibreel, the foundation of the religion. Some of the students that have remember it because they've been with us for 3 years. They go like, this Hadith again. But we always say that it is important. We need to drill this down. You have to remember this. And as you grow up and you read the same Hadith, you will realize a different dimension,
Yeah.
a deeper meaning to it. So Hadith Jibreel is the Hadith when the Prophet was sitting down with his companions. Came a man from nowhere wearing very white shirt. Yet no one in the community knew him.
them,
Medina
yeah.
was a very small town. Everybody knew everyone. This guy's a stranger, and he was wearing all white. That means he can't be a traveler, because if you're traveling through the desert, you will see traces of dust, sand on your shirt, on your head. This guy didn't show anything. He went and sat knee to knee with the Prophet, and we showed in class how the sitting is. You're sitting as if you're sitting in prayer, knee meeting the knee, and he's placed his his palms on his on thigh, and he asked the Prophet a series of questions. And this is where, before we go into the knowledge, which is the question, the man actually was showing something very important.
Yeah, the manners.
The manners,
Yeah.
the adab. And I think we are losing a lot of adab in the community. As time goes by, and I was giving an example in class just now, that when I was studying with one of the strictest sheikh when it comes to adab that I've encountered is Sheikh Nuruddin al-Banjari. You can't even move around like this. He expects you to sit nicely. You don't check your watch. He gets insulted. You're supposed to focus in the learning. Initially, I thought this is too much. Why is this sheikh being so strict? Until I actually sat in a circle with Habib Zain bin Smith, and he was there. Habib Zain is Sheikh Noor's teacher. And throughout the 2 hours that we were reading the text with Habib Zain, Sheikh Noor was seated in this prayer position, and he had his notebook and was taking notes. He did not change his sitting position for 2 hours. And after that, I tried very much. If I'm in his class, I try and sit as nice as possible, because I know that he is holding us to a standard that is lower than he is. He puts himself to a higher standard that I have to do this, and he expects lower than his students. But if we continue in this trajectory, then in the end, our students will be lying down and sleeping. And
And I think it's also like in the Western world where we are living, here the concept of manners is something that is also
Foreign.
missing and
Yes.
foreign when it comes to being respectful, especially towards the elderly, especially towards the teacher. In our Eastern cultures, we would never address an older person by their first names, but here it is addressed as such. And I think the children, our Muslim children here, need to be taught what is
Yes.
respectful in our religion, and they need to know when to be respectful.
Yeah, so we also discussed about the concept of barakah, that for you to gain barakah in your studies, you need to have manners. And this is why the mother of Imam Malik, when he was sending Imam Malik for the first time to study, when Imam Malik was young, Imam Malik said, his mother reminded him, تَعَلَّمَ مِنْ حِلْمِهِ قَبْلَ أَن تَتَعَلَّمَ مِنْ عِلْمِهِ. Go and study from his manners before you study from his knowledge. So the Hadith Jibreel emphasizes that before the man started asking Prophet a series of questions, he said in a good way, showing good manners. And then he asked the Prophet, what is Islam? The Prophet explained Islam, the 5 pillars of Islam. What is Iman? The 6 pillars of Iman. What is Ihsan? The 2 pillars of Ihsan. Worship Allah as if you see Him. If you don't see Him, know that He sees you. And then ask, when is Qiyamah? And the Prophet said, you and I don't know the answer. And what are the signs? The Prophet gave the 2 signs. And then he left. And then the Prophet asked the companions, do you know who this man is? And the companions said, Allah and Rasul knows best. And Rasulullah said that he is Jibreel, atakum yu'allimukum dinakum. He came, Jibreel came to teach you of your religion. And this is the foundation of everything we teach at Qaswa. The holistic approach to Islam, that you must have the fiqh or the Islam dimension, what to do. You have to pray. But you also need to understand the why. And the why is the Iman dimension. It explains to you, why are you praying? Because you believe in Allah. The angels came and brought revelation down to Prophet Muhammad, telling us we need to pray, and there will be accountability in Yawmul Qiyamah. We cannot just tell students you need to pray without explaining why do you need to pray.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the final dimension is the ihsan dimension. How do you do salah in the best possible way, and that for you to gain benefit from your salah, either benefit in this world, benefit in the hereafter. And the example that we gave is like a tree. If you have a tree, you got for a big tree for a tree to grow big and healthy, you need deep roots.
Yeah.
The roots are unseen. This is the iman.
Amen.
The iman in your heart, no one can see it. It's between you and Allah, just like the roots. But everyone can see the Islam.
The tree.
So you have that tree that comes out, that branches out. That is your Islam. People can see that. And what is the ihsan? Ihsan are the fruits.
Exactly.
Yeah,
people will benefit from.
People benefit from, because your salah will make you into someone that is going to be kind.
Yeah.
Someone who's going to be honest, because you know that in prayer you're standing before Allah. If Allah sees you in prayer, that means He's going to see you outside of prayer. Even if there's no one that's going to catch you, you're not going to cheat at school. You're not even if the teachers can't do anything towards you, you're not going to swear your teachers, because you know that Allah is always there. So that is the ihsan dimension, that you benefit from your salah. Your fasting will make you a more charitable person, because you feel the hunger of others and you would like to go and help them. And how do you help them? Help them with ihsan. You help them with the most honorable way. You don't insult the person. So that tree image is, the roots are your iman, the tree that grow is your Islam, and the fruits that comes out from the tree is your ihsan.
Yeah. So as we were talking to the children, what we like to do is definitely to involve the children in the conversations.
Exactly.
So in primary school, in pre-primary, especially in year 1, year 2, where their knowledge of Islam is still growing, we also tie it with prior knowledge that they know, so that they can contribute to the discussion. So for example, when we were talking about Allah creating all animals, I will ask the children questions that is not directly related to Islam, but questions that will build on the conversation. So I'll ask them, who can tell me all the animals that have got wings? So then they will name the different kinds of birds, flies, bees.
Anyone name Buraq?
And they don't know Burak yet.
Yeah.
But what that does is that the children feels very empowered and very much part of a discussion, especially children who do not know much yet.
Yep.
Then they feel that I can contribute something. I
exactly.
know what to say.
Yes.
So when I say like, oh, Allah created all the plants and all the trees, who can tell me what plants are there in your garden? Right, so then they can name trees in their garden, and then when they go like, oh, I have this tree with a white flower, but I don't know what it's called. Then I will say, okay, go back and ask your mom, and then come back to me and tell me what the plant is, because Allah made every one of them, and we are able to name every one of them. So we tie it back to prior knowledge,
Yep.
and that just really gets children excited that they can contribute and they can give out their ideas.
Yes.
So when we give example like, okay, now that you know your mother loves you, and you know you love your mother, and so we know we need to be kind to our mother. Tell me one thing that you can do for your mom
Yep.
when you go home that would make her happy.
Yep.
So then we will get discussions from them, and we'll facilitate that, and also suggest appropriate different ideas for
Yes.
different age groups, so that this is something that I guess is practical.
Yep.
That is not only they come here and they listen,
And
but they
then,
need to go home and do
do
something.
something about it. And I think it's very important as when we're dealing with students who do not get much Islamic education before coming to Qaswa, and some of them are a bit older, the year 4, year 5, and most of the peers have already known the basics, like what we're doing today, the Shahada. Most of the peers would have known the Shahada, but there may be one or two that didn't. It's okay. This is why we are here. We're here to help. So it's important that we teach, but we maintain the dignity of the students.
Yes.
So when it comes to Shahada, we don't want to just say, all right, Muhammad, say the Shahada, and then Muhammad can, and then the next person, Ahmad, go say the Shahada, and he can't. He'll feel embarrassed. So what we do is we have everyone in class say the Shahada, while the teacher would observe the students, and we can pick up like, okay, that guy is just moving his lips, he's not reading, because our class is quite small, so 15 students, still manageable. And after class, we'll pull the students to the side, and students to the side and say, do you know the Shahada? Students said, I don't really know. All right, come, let's go and learn. So before the 10-15 minutes before they actually leave, this because usually after class ends, students will just play at the backyard, basketball and so on. So we'll take the students to the side and teach them. So these are the basic things, like when we get to Al-Fatiha, we'll also do the same thing. We want to maintain the dignity of the student.
And I think that's really important for trust.
Yes.
Yeah, and if we can make sure that the children are not embarrassed or saddened,
Yep.
they do build that trust really quite quickly with the teachers. Yeah, and we see that as the children are aging up. Qaswa has been almost 5 years now.
Yep.
So we've had children since day one who are still with us.
Yeah.
And we can see that relationship build to
Yes.
something that they can come and talk to us or
Yep.
to confide in us where
Yep.
they have when they have problems or when they have some troubles. And that is what we also want to create, a community. We call out the Qaswa family,
Yes.
where we help each other out.
Yep.
So other parents can also be the eyes of
Yes.
the parents, and it's like a little village.
Yes, it takes a village to raise a child. All right, so I think quite good discussion for our first episode of the podcast. Do you have any final notes that you want to share before we end our session today?
Alhamdulillah, I think this first week really went well despite the 40-degree heat.
Oh,
Today was very, very hot, but Alhamdulillah, we knew that the weather was going to be
Yes.
quite hot, but so we anticipated and we wanted our children to leave Qaswa happy.
with a bang.
Yeah, so what we did was on Thursday night, we bought a whole lot of icy poles and we froze them.
Yep.
And so today, as they came out of Qaswa, we surprised them with icy poles.
Yes.
And that just brought smiles to all of the children, and that they felt happy leaving Qaswa, cooled down with an icy
Yeah.
pole in their hand.
I think my final note is that it's important as we teach in madrasas and we're teaching young children, that we remember that we are teaching people of Jannah. We as teachers, we have passed the age of spiritual responsibility. we carry with us sins. But these children, they're pure. They are the people of Jannah. So treat them with respect, cherish them. It's an honor that the parents entrust them to us. All right, so that's the end of our first session today, our first episode. And I'll end with a quotation from the hadith that is known as the hadith of mercy. And this hadith of mercy is generally the first hadith taught in hadith schools. It's known as hadith musalsal bil awwaliyah. Hadith, the first chain of hadith transmitted as the first hadith. What it means is that musalsal bil awwaliyah means this is the first hadith that I learned from my hadith teacher. It was the first hadith that he learned from his teacher, all the way to the tabi'in. That means it was continuously from the time of the tabi'in until I learned it. It was the first hadith. I'm not sure if you remember the first time we got this hadith. It was also the first time I got Musalsal bil Awaliyah was with you. Which is Sheikh Fuad. I got it. That was the first time, and then a few other shuyukh, but the first time was with Sheikh Fuad. And I love this hadith because the first hadith that we learn is hadith of mercy. Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhumur Rahman. The one that is merciful is loved by the most merciful, by Allah. Irhamu man fil ar, yarhamkum man fis sama. If you show mercy to the inhabitants of earth, the inhabitants of the skies, the heavens, that means the angels will show mercy towards you. So spread mercy wherever you are. We are the ummah of Prophet Muhammad, and he sallallahu alaihi wasallam said he is an-Nabiyyur Rahmah. Alright, thank you very much. Hope to see you all again next week.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.